Hi everybody, I want to talk today about changing tubes. It sounds like a simple thing, and usually it is, but it can be a little tricky, and it helps to sometimes have a few tools for cleaning tube sockets and to know in general about how the tubes go in and tube sockets in general. So we'll be looking a little more closely at some of these tubes, but here's a 12x7 preamp tube. And you'll see sockets, something like this, maybe a bit like this, or even sometimes ceramic. And as we go in, you'll see there's a gap in the pins that has to line up with a gap in the socket. Very important. So you put it in, and then taking it out, you kind of wiggle and pull, and it releases. Those are preamp tubes. If you're a person who likes to try a lot of different preamp tubes, it's good to get a tube pin straightener. This is a new old stock one. You can find these things around. And basically you just take your tube, let's say one of these little pins is bent, you push it in here, pull it out, now they're all straight. It's great to have one of these. Everyone should have one of these. Anyway, then we've got power tubes, octal tubes. They're larger, sometimes even that large, but they have this central pin with a keyway. There's a little slot, it's hard to see, we'll zoom in for that, and the socket has a corresponding key hole for it. And typically with these you'll rotate until it drops in, and then you can push it all the way. And it's the same type of deal. It's a little hard to do freehand, but rotating and pulling out. But it's critical that with power tubes that if they have that keyway that you rotate, you'll feel it drop in. Because if you orient it wrong, which some type of tube sockets will actually allow you to push past that keyway, you can cause some trouble. Smoking parts, anything can be fixed, but still, it's nice to do it right. Some other points: contact cleaner. This is great to have. Let's say you have a tube, particularly a preamp tube's kind of going. Sometimes you can remove that tube, spray a little of this into a rag, kind of like that, on the pins, wipe them off, put it back in, maybe pull it in and out a couple times just to clean those contacts on the socket, and voila, everything's wonderful. It tends to be more of a preamp tube thing. Here's a pen that has contact cleaner. It's kind of helpful, makes it easy, you just kind of clean them up. And finally, well, we're talking tube socket health. Depending on the type, some of these, if you change a lot of tubes, there's sort of little C-shaped pieces of metal, and the pin comes in, and over time this can relax and need to be retensioned. This is like on old vintage amps, and you can actually go in with a really fine screwdriver and sort of crimp these back out so they'll hold the tube well. Generally, you shouldn't have to do this unless you change tubes a lot and they feel really loose, or a vintage amp. You might need to do that.